Good afternoon. Mayor Kevin Davis. I'm sitting here in the council chambers and in what I consider to be a sacred spot, which is where I sit during council meetings. And behind me is a picture of Chief Joseph Brant. Brantford is named after Chief Joseph Brant, and he is one of the founders of our city. So a good reason why I'm making this announcement with Chief Joseph Brant looking on to me. The Unified Emergency Operations Center Advisory Group is made up of organizations within the City of Brantford, the County of Brant, and 6 nations of the Grand River. We work together to reduce the risk of community spread of coronavirus COVID-19 in our region. The United EOC Advisory Committee is made up of the following representatives: the Brant County Health Unit, the Brant Community Healthcare System, Brantford Paramedics, City of Brantford, the County of Brant, 6 nations of the Grand River, Brantford Police Services, Ontario Provincial Police, Grand Erie District School Board, Brant Haldimand Norfolk Catholic District School Board, and Enbridge Gas. On March 29th, 6 nations of the Grand River announced new measures to protect the health and safety of its residents, whereby access to 6 nations would be restricted to members of the public outside the community who are not providing emergency or essential services. The Unified Emergency Operations Center Advisory Group fully supports the decisions made by the 6 Nations elected council to safeguard their community and to slow the spread of coronavirus COVID-19. The health, the safety, and well-being of all people within our region remains a top priority for all of us. We recognize that 6 nations of the Grand River community are among the most vulnerable, and that during this crisis in particular, at great risk. This is why we must fully support the measures implemented to improve the 6 nations' public health response and provide them with the flexibility required to address the specific needs identified by their leadership and community members. We strongly urge citizens of all regions to respect the decisions made and extraordinary measures implemented in the interests of public health and safety during this challenging and unprecedented time. By way of personal comment, I speak quite often to Chief Mark Hill. When he first told me about this, my initial reaction, I think, was similar to many other people, somewhat concerned, a very unusual measure. But you know what? Understanding and acceptance comes from knowledge. And Chief Mark Hill told me the following, that last weekend, the weekend before, there were more than 10,000 people who came into 6 Nations, primarily from the GTA, to purchase cheap gas and cigarettes. A huge concern for that community because they're particularly vulnerable. They have a community of elders who form the repository of all their oral traditions, and that knowledge is passed on by the elders. And so they're at particular risk. Also, there's a great tradition and culture, 6 Nations, in respect to communal living, generations living together, and that puts them at greater risk. They also have a greater incidence of high blood pressure and diabetes. Once Chief Mark Hill explained it to me, I immediately said to him, "What you're doing makes sense to me," and I support it. Also, what they're doing, and because 6 Nations is part of our region, we're very interconnected, what they're doing to protect the residents of 6 Nations protects all of us. So I say to the residents of 6 Nations, we have a long and rich history together. We've had our ups and downs in that relationship, but now is clearly the time for all of us to come together, to work together, to protect all of us. And I say to the members and residents and the 6 Nations, you're welcome in Brantford. Stay safe, stay strong. Thank you.